Welcome back, everybody, to the rest hold. Just kidding. Kept you on your toes there. You thought you were going to check out a spot that you didn't want to check out, did you?
You almost clicked off.
Yeah.
I'm visual.
You would have not heard us bitching about Brock Lesnar then.
Tony, when am I supposed to stop rolling?
Stop rolling. Because we're
Okay,
still
stop.
rolling on.
Yeah.
Drew's rolling.
Ugh.
I hate that song. Well, if you can read the screen in any capacity, then you do know that this is the hot tags, different rumors and stories and news and whatever the hell else we want to talk about from the past couple of days. Oddly enough, this is one of those weeks where there's a couple of things we can talk about already on Monday afternoon instead of waiting until Wednesday night and then everything happens Thursday morning. But let's get right into this here with the thing that I just want to make fun of the most, because some of these things we can't really make fun of. But this is just ridiculous. I think it's absolute fucking stupidity. I don't know why I said that wrong. But I wanted to put this out there just for the people that hadn't seen it. Did you guys check out this thing with Manu being on his deathbed?
No.
I heard he
I
had the
haven't.
flu.
He made it seem like he was dying. So the couple of people that were interested in Manu were like, oh man, like that sucks. And then he put out this video where he's like, no, I'm not dying. And by the way, here's Snitsky next to me in the hospital. And Snitsky looks ridiculous. And he's just like, oh, it's not my fault. And we're like, yeah, we get it. And it just proves to me how terrible Manu is. So if you have any more reason to want to hate Manu, check out that video. It's not funny. It's not interesting. It's not newsworthy. And he got, in the news, and even to the point where now I'm bringing it up in the hot tags or whatever, for no reason. And it's like, well, if he would have been on his deathbed, that would have sucked for his family and such, but now he's kind of making light of it. And it's like, dude, you suck. I just hate this dude now. And I just wanted to put it out there so everybody else can hate him more. So, now that I got that out of the way, let's get into the real news here. But let's go and make fun of something else while we're at it. That Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy promo.
I thought that was going to be the first thing that popped up when you were talking about stuff to make fun of.
Oh, no, I wanted to get that out of the way so we can actually talk about this one.
Well, to be quite honest, with that description of the Manu video, you didn't sell me on it. I'm just like, nah.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, I saw the article when it was posted originally, and I cared that little about Manu that I didn't click on the headline.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Manu's dying? Okay.
I clicked on it because I figured maybe he'd said something funny during it, like, uh-oh, I'm on my deathbed, and here's like, the Undertaker is coming, or like anything like that. It's not, but he thinks that he's being funny, which goes to show you that nobody really knows, like, exactly how their product's going on, which ties into the Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy thing. Do these guys actually have any pride for this, or what? Because I watched this twice now. I can't tell if it's supposed to be as much of a joke as it is, or if this is something where, like, they really think that this was good.
Well, I
So-
think the thing you're referring to is the promo package, them leading into their match at Slammiversary.
Right.
I've watched the cut version, which was posted in the Mega Maniacs, and I've watched the uncut version, which is lengthened by a good few
There's an
minutes.
uncut version?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ.
Regardless, both are terrible. This is some of the worst shit that I've ever seen. We've got Matt Hardy that looks like Seth Rollins on meth who was electrocuted, talking like a fucking douchebag wizard.
It must begin where it all ended. And all this.
Like, I can't quite comprehend what I watched. These were two guys that I absolutely adored in the WWF. When it was shitty, I actually really enjoyed Matt Hardy's run against Edge when he returned, and Jeff Hardy's run on SmackDown. And then we talk about how bad TNA is, and I hear people defending it. Then I see this.
There's no defense.
There is literally no defense. This is the worst angle I have probably seen in a decade from a company that has distribution on this larger scale. It was that bad.
This is as bad as backyard wrestling from 12-year-olds that they post on YouTube. Like, there is no defense for it at all. Like, I can't, even if, like, somebody, can talk about TNA and go, like, well, they've got some good wrestlers. Yeah, they do. Like, EC3, he should totally go to WWE. From what I've seen of Mike Bennett, I like Mike Bennett. But, holy crap, man, this promo is one of the worst things I have ever seen wrestling related, period. And it's just something that, like, there's nothing good about it. Like, the story that they're being told, the way that they filmed it, the music that they're putting in the background, the serious tone, this whole, like, we're going to go to this ring, and then there's this, like, normal table that's set up on the outside there that I'm going to smash you through, and
it just kind of, like, falls over.
Oh, God, it's so fucking bad.
The side effect that Matt Hardy does off the apron, they had to slow down and put in slow motion and shoot at 2 angles because of how bad it looked.
It's so, like...
There is nothing redeeming about this angle that was shot. This is some of the worst horseshit that I've seen. If you've not seen it, go to the Megamaniacs group on Facebook and go take a look. Sorry, go on, Drew.
I just want to say that I was on the bandwagon of, hey, the Hardy Boys are overrated and they suck for years now. I'm glad everyone else is now seeing what I've been seeing for a number of years. I'm just saying, they both suck. And the sad part is, these two probably think that this was some of the best work of their career. I bet Jeff Hardy, as soon as this was done, he was inspired to write a song. He was inspired to do his shitty paintings. And Matt Hardy just went and did some more meth. So... all I'm saying is it was abortion-like, and I kind of feel bad for TNA just because this is what they're putting out.
No, here's the thing. We should hate TNA for this because they're the ones that fucking approved this. They probably wrote it.
They should have been a good enough, like, distance from this. If it's like a Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy thing, they should have looked at the final product and went, no fucking way. You need to just come into the whatever we're going to use as a warehouse now or whatever, and just have, like, the two of you look at each other and just go, like, it's on. It would have been better.
Yeah, the leader of the production guy that was putting the package together and getting it ready to air it should have gone to Matt and Jeff and went, all right, guys, there is a problem with the video. And they go, what? What's wrong with it?
Everything.
It gave me cancer. So...
I'm literally on my deathbed next to Manu right now after watching this.
And Manu says, Manu can't afford a hospital, that's why he's here.
He's like, that's why he's not on a deathbed. He can't afford a bed.
But yeah, like, this was the drizzling shit. I've seen one person defend it in the Megamaniacs group, the dude, one of our fans from Greece. He says it, and the reason he said so is an extension of their work that they do on their website. Well, in that case, the work they do on their website is fucking horseshit.
Yeah.
This is easily, though, like, the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen that they've tried to pass off as being decent. Like, I've got my YouTube stuff, and my YouTube stuff's nowhere as good as, like, the main, like, millions of subscribers and stuff. And I look at my stuff and I go, oh, crap, I wish that it could be as good quality as that. If you're TNA and you look at this, you gotta go, man, I wish it was at least as good quality as the garbage we usually put out.
I completely forgot Slammiversary was a pay-per-view, and it's kind of sad it took this video to be like, oh yeah, so by the way, we have this pay-per-view that's kind of a big deal next week. We're going to announce our Hall of Fame inductee that night. They did no promotion for this whatsoever. If I'm just now hearing that they have this pay-per-view coming up, they fucking fail.
I don't know if it is a pay-per-view. It could be a television special. That's the thing about TNA. It's fell so bad into obscurity and just trash that I don't know what to think about it anymore. And if you defend that promo, please come to my house and I will spit in your eye.
I can't imagine anybody really defending it. And I really would love to see, like, the Hardys' reaction to this when they're reading all these comments and they're just like one single tear falls.
Well, Matt Hardy will just start crying and complaining about wrestling fans like he always does. And I think Jeff will be too coked out of his mind to care. So it is what it is. And you say almost everyone hates this. Not everyone. The lamest fucking Hardy fans love this. They probably ate the shit out of this. They thought that they were probably getting a secret, oh my god, we're looking to what these guys do in their personal life, and this is so, like, themselves.
This is such a bitter feud. It's going to end where it began.
Yeah, what cracked me, the biggest thing that made me laugh about this video wasn't how bad it was. It's just they're marching their asses off to this ring in the yard to finish it where it all began. And they just pass the gardener that's outside the house doing some planting. And I'm like, what the fuck?
And I love the part of the video where Matt's in the ring and Jeff comes storming forward. And it's like, all right, first off, let's just ignore the idea that there's a cameraman here. Like, this is supposed to be something that like happened naturally or whatever, and
Could
there's
be maybe one of the gardeners just has a camera on him at all
it
times.
could be that, and then it's like they cut back and forth, and he starts like marching towards the ring, and then Matt Hardy like leaves the ring or whatever, and it's just kind of like, oh god, man.
A couple things. One, do you think that they like watched Lucha Underground and how they do multi-camera cuts and all that stuff? That they were like, "Oh man, we could do what they're doing. We're
That might be
TNA."
it, yeah.
That's number one. Two, is that fake baby the best thing about this whole like promo they did?
Oh, they should have had Snitsky come in and punt it.
Well, Manu, we're all in the same bed with Manu, so Snitsky was there.
It would have been great if she threw the baby and he punted it.
And he's just like, it was my fault.
And for someone who doesn't watch TNA, it made no fucking sense. Why the fuck was there a fake baby in there? Where's the real one? Who the fuck was that lady that they were with?
Was that
that's
Rebby?
That's Rebby Sky, Matt Hardy's wife.
Oh,
that's
that
not-
looks.
They
He
had
got one of them dad.
They have a baby together, so I think she threw it at Jeff Hardy because he's like, "Oh shit, my niece or nephew or whatever
But
it
I
is."
thought I thought that girl was calling one of them dad. And two, Rebby Sky looks like shit now if that was her.
Yeah, man. Rebby Scott used to be real hot.
To be fair, if Amazing Kong had threatened me, I might look a bit shooken up.
That's true.
I don't know. Well, she got tased by the Hardys, so I think that was the beginning of the downfall for her.
Do you ever
Taste the
think?
fake baby?
She looks at Matt Hardy and goes, "What the fuck did I do with my life?"
I love the Meth Rollins stuff that's going around now.
Hmm.
That's so good.
Ugh, I feel dirty for talking about this.
I know, I want to move on here. But unfortunately, we have to talk about Adam Rose for a second.
Oh, for a second, I can do a second.
Yeah. His new name on the independent scene, for anybody who's wondering, is Aldo Rose. No.
Okay, so the only time that was cool was when instead of Brad Maddox, they did the Mad Braddox thing that we joked about all the time.
Right.
That was awesome.
But like, how, like, Aldo Rose?
All right, so I have a problem with this because I hate Jose Aldo, the guy that Conor McGregor knocked out. So you take a guy who I absolutely hate and add Aldo to his name. It's great. Like, I fucking hate him on a whole new level, but I'm not talking about Adam Rose.
I hope his middle name is Montoya. Aldo Montoya Rose, or Alpo Rose, and he could do a dog gimmick now too.
You see, that Leo Kruger thing that he had going for a while was actually interesting, but then when he was all said and done and became Adam Rose, I was just like, ugh, you're so bad.
Yeah, I guess that he's gonna try to keep doing the Adam Rose thing because his email, like for bookings and stuff, is something like "I'm a lemon." So, yeah, if you like Adam Rose, you'll like Aldo Rose.
You can book him, apparently.
Yeah, you could probably book him in your backyard.
I'm
You
done.
gotta, yeah, I think he might like do children's birthdays.
Yeah. Even if you have a fake baby, the Hardys can film it. Elias Samson has been injured at an NXT live event in a match with this new guy who's going to be popping up on Wednesday, Andrade Cien Almas. Sure, I pronounced that correct. I don't know anything about that dude. Elias Samson's been kind of doing nothing for a while, but it sucks to have another person injured. So, I don't know. I got to assume nobody really has anything to say about this, but if you do, go ahead and toss something out there.
I will say one thing, and it's kind of weird only because the last time someone like injured someone on their first real match in WWE was like the Samoa Joe Tyson Kidd thing. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Elias Samson, but I mean he's no Tyson Kidd by any means, but it's very, very, very bad luck.
It's got to suck if it ends up factoring into the brand extension. I don't know how long he'll be injured. I don't know if it's like a
I don't
week
think
thing,
Samson
2 week
was going
things.
to do anything anyways. It's Elias fucking Samson.
He needed to stay in NXT for a long time anyway, so.
Yeah, but we
Also-
don't really know exactly what's happening with that yet. They might have brought him up. Now I would assume that they definitely won't.
He should be thankful that this injury probably didn't potentially end his career like with Tyson Kidd. So
Yeah.
he should be at least a little happy. I have no idea why Elias Samson got injured, but Tyson Kidd could have died. So
Yeah.
I think Samson will be all right with a couple months off.
I can't hear his name and not think of that scene in Half Baked where it's like, I want to talk to Samson. Every fucking time. Drives me nuts. Let's go something sad here. Muhammad Ali passed away. I know it's not WWE related 100%, but he is somebody who's been talked about as a potential Hall of Famer. He did show up in WrestleMania 1, and it's big news, and I can get some hits, basically. I really kind of don't care all that much. I mean, that sucks for his family, all that other kind of stuff, but I was never really like the biggest Muhammad Ali fan. I never really got into boxing. I, value the idea that he was this big sports name, but never had a personal connection to him. Never really looked up to him as an idol. I don't really look up to anybody. Yeah, sucks. But, Wago, what do you think about this whole Muhammad Ali thing?
So Muhammad Ali didn't have the biggest place in pro wrestling, but he did dabble, much like Chris Jericho. So he, for a lot of people don't know, where he got a lot of his flair and his trash talking and ideas from Gorgeous George, who WWE likes to bring up now and again. In addition to that, he actually had the only time that I can recall a pro wrestler versus boxer match where like one would fight the one style, one would fight the other. It ended up kind of like being some pseudo MMA match, and I can't remember the Japanese guy that he fought now.
Was it Giant Baba?
It might have been. I'm not too sure. I just remember him dragging himself across the floor, trying to trip Ali over constantly. It was an absolutely terrible match. By no means go out of your way to see it. But yeah, so. Generally, Muhammad Ali's not had too much to do with pro wrestling, but he has been the ideal guy to imitate if you want to do successful trash talk or just have a good way to promote yourself. One of the biggest guys in boxing, he changed a lot of how the sport was ran. He changed a lot of how the sport was treated from a journalistic standpoint. Easily one of the biggest names in and outside of boxing. Sucks that he's passed away. Rest in peace.
It was Antonio Inoki.
There we go.
I was like, I couldn't remember if it was him or the other one, and I was kind of like a tall guy.
I knew it was a big name, I just couldn't remember what.
Yeah. Drew, any thoughts on Muhammad Ali?
I mean, Wiga pretty much hit it nail on, but it is sad. A lot of people, I didn't expect a lot of people would act so, like they cared, mainly because boxing has kind of became on the back burner compared to MMA is, but I appreciate a lot of people look at him and he is probably the best boxer of all the time, the most notable one. So I'm just leave it at that. Hopefully he gets inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame soon. They probably will. Just can't wait for that to happen.
I'm just surprised at the outlash that there's a lot of things. Like normally when people die, everybody's like, completely they were an angel and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of like anti-Muslim stuff that's going around now and all that. And it's like,
have you seen the Trump thing?
The Trump thing? No.
A few months ago, he was talking about how Muslims don't have a place in sports because of something Obama said. And then as soon as Ali died, he posted this long thing on Twitter about how he respected Ali and what he did, even though Muhammad Ali's most people know he's a Muslim. It was just something ironic and funny. Everyone who hates Trump just tore his ass for that. But yeah, from one WWE Hall of Famer to the future one. So that was weird. I get why people would freak out about that, mainly because we live in a world now, at least in a Western world, where every Muslim is a terrorist and wants to kill everyone. So I can understand why some people are afraid and are a little pissed off for Muhammad Ali for no reason at all, but it's not that deep. It's a fucking religion.
Well, little did you know that every time Muhammad Ali punched somebody, that was a terrorist attack.
Every time he punched someone, one of his virgins came to him.
That's the thing. There's different versions of Islam, and not to get too political. You've got your normal westernized one, which we all know, and I know plenty of Muslims that are normal people. Then you've got the Middle East that want to cut your dick off for saying Jesus Christ. So it's like you gotta separate the two, and Ali wasn't some fucking terrorist. It's ridiculous.
Also, remember, you're believing in a fucking book. So remember that when you talk about religion.
Yeah, you know what? Fucking for all the Christians out there that want to shit on Ali for being Islam, you believe in a bunch of bullshit anyway. So
yeah, and Christians have done some terrible shit throughout the years of the world as well.
Let's lump all the other people into like the Harry Potter people.
Yeah, you know what, Harry Potter, fuck you.
In fact, if you are anywhere near a book right now, you're wrong.
Yeah, you have the internet. Gosh.
You need to be at least 5 feet away from a book.
at all times. Even if you have a textbook in school, you flip your middle finger off to the teacher, and then you throw the book down.
If you even look like a librarian, well, if you're hot, then it's a different story. But
I mean, if you've got that librarian bun going on, man, or especially if you're a man, you gotta stop that shit. What the fuck is that though? Have you noticed that like stupid man bun hairstyle?
oh, it's garbage. I went to get my hair cut earlier today, and that was his suggestion, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. Don't tell me that.
Oh, the best of it is like people think they look so good with it, but they don't realize it's causing like major baldness in people. So,
Oh, really? That's even better.
yeah, I can't wait till these fucking douchebags like 40 years old, and it's
Yeah.
best. It doesn't just give them a normal bald spot; it gives them like a ring and then another ring.
Nice. All right, so the last thing we need to talk about for this edition of the Hot Tags is the biggest story that's going around right now, and when WWE and such. Brock Lesnar is going to be fighting at UFC 200, or maybe not. I don't know. He's also staying under contract with WWE. They are advertising that he's going to be fighting at SummerSlam in some capacity. They've got a lot of things going on here. Wago's been following this the most out of everybody, so I'm going to pass this over to him in a minute. But at the very least, what I wanted to touch on, the idea that Lesnar's fighting before SummerSlam, and that's kind of like odd. It's weird that this is a contract thing, that they would let him do it. And then just even though it's not WWE related, we got to talk about this whole press situation for sure. So, Wago, I'm going to pass this to you to take it away. You direct our conversation.
Well, some people like to call me the MMA guru, but
Check out his website.
Christ, Tony. So, the story broke initially on MMAfighting.com that Brock Lesnar is going to be fighting at UFC 200. I was sitting there watching UFC 199, which was headlined by Bisping, who is the first British heavy middleweight champion now, so congratulations to him. And before the co-main event of 199, they announced Brock Lesnar would be fighting. They had this cool video package showing all the fights, and then that famous quote from Lesnar played, "Can you see me now? Or can you hear me now? I don't fucking know." Well, following this situation, one of the journalists that actually broke that story got kicked out of the UFC 199 event because,
fuck him for doing his job.
Fuck him for doing his job. Apparently, Brock Lesnar personally wanted this guy Ariel wanted to have the shit kicked out of him, or at least that's what was suggested. Dana White did the normal thing and just relieved him of his credentials. This stems from a whole background story, which, like the Ariel's explained in length at about 2 hours, so you can go check out his podcast for that. But following which, in the next few days, we had the announcement made. Mark Hunt is going to be Brock Lesnar's opponent for UFC 200.
Shame it's not Mike.
This was following speculation that Lesnar wasn't fighting because the UFC was pulling a lot of material Brock Lesnar related down and WWE down, but that seems to be a false alarm. So now we've got Mark Hunt, who has 12 wins, 10 losses, against Brock Lesnar, who has 5 wins and 3 losses, in a match which could go either way, but I'm heavily favoring Mark Hunt.
So, when it comes to WWE, do you guys think that it's weird that they're letting him do this?
Yes and no. Go on, Drew.
I was going to say no, because as long as WWE is not paying anything other than Brock Lesnar just going over there and fighting, they're not losing much unless Brock Lesnar gets fucking destroyed. It's free publishing. Anytime this is being brought up in public or on like news, it's being said that he is still employed by WWE and he still fights in WWE. It's a walking promotion. It's a walking advertisement. And I wouldn't be surprised. I doubt they will, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has something WWE related on his, trunks or while he's out there. Trust me, Vince is going to advertise the shit out of this in so many ways. And I know a lot of the MMA fans do not like wrestling for, respectable reasons. But I will say, it might bring a few new people in. They might be like, oh yeah, Brock Lesnar, he was a former heavyweight champion here.
Just cut you off real quick, Drew. You say for respectable reasons. No, MMA fans are just dickheads.
Okay, they're dickheads.
Well, I mean, I look at this situation as there's a lot of positives, but there's also a lot of potential negatives. It's right around SummerSlam time. So one big negative is if he gets fucked up real bad and he can't compete, you're going to lose him for SummerSlam. Like, he's not going to
See,
want to wrestle then, you know?
that's why I wanted him to, and I actually made a post of the top five opponents that I'd have for Brock Lesnar the day before they fucking announced Mark Hunt, which you can find on smark@moment.com. That's why I suggested Josh Barnett, former pro wrestler, has a business relationship with New Japan, understands the business. Had he beat the shit out of Lesnar, he could have rematched him at SummerSlam and
Right.
put Lesnar over. Anyway, sorry to cut you off.
Well, that's another thing, too, is if Lesnar loses, he's not going to look as strong going into SummerSlam. Like,
It's
whoever he would go up against, which at this point, I got to imagine it's got to be like Randy Orton if he's back around that time, or AJ Styles maybe, or well, no, it wouldn't be AJ because he's a heel now. Maybe a Cesaro. Like, there's not a whole lot of people left. And then if he looks like a chump, oh, I mean, he's not going to look like a chump. He's still Brock fucking Lesnar, but it's a different story if he beats Dean Ambrose at WrestleMania. That's the last that we saw of him. If he would have went into SummerSlam just with that, he looks better than if he would lose. Now, if he wins, he'll look even better. But that's a gamble. And then what if he does this and he gets the itch to just go back to UFC more and he tries to renegotiate a deal with WWE and leaves WWE? Well, then fuck. Then now they just kind of gave him the door.
I think this is very much a one-off, and if it's not, I still think he could just be the guy that finally does the whole co-UFC, co-WWE thing. But you're definitely right. They're playing a risky game here. Normally, I wouldn't be like too caught up on wins and losses here, but Brock Lesnar is a very unique case. They've had everybody lose to Brock Lesnar,
Right.
like The Undertaker, in pretty dominant fashion. In their initial WrestleMania bout, which ended the streak. John Cena, which he literally kicked out of his John Cena's finisher at one and beat the shit out of him for 15 minutes.
Like, who's beating them? It's Triple H, John Cena.
And Lesnar's got wins over all of them and has avenged those too. So it's kind of a situation where you're like, fuck.
Yeah, he's better than everybody, including The Undertaker at WrestleMania, yet he goes and fights this Mark Hunt guy and gets, beaten.
Now, like if he was fighting for the title and it was against Stipe Miocic or Cain Velasquez or Alistair Overeem, somebody that was like a top tier guy, it wouldn't be so bad. But he's fighting Mark Hunt, and that's not to take anything away from Mark Hunt, but dude's still 12-10.
Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have the diverticulitis excuse.
Yeah, the only thing he's got going now is I had a layoff for several years. Which
Yeah,
is
then people will
about
go, well, fuck, then you've been wrestling, right? And then if he goes, yeah, but that's not really as intensive, then it's like, okay, now we're putting WWE down. Like, there's a lot of negatives to this, man.
and the
And,
thing is, like, the more that I analyze that fight, I think Lesnar loses.
hmm. I don't know anything about the guy. I have only seen, like, a couple little fights when it comes to
I've
NXT,
I've never
UFC.
I've never seen a fight where Lesnar doesn't get tagged at least once hard. You don't even need to be tagged by Mark Hunt hard to go to sleep.
The only thing that I've been hearing that is pure speculation, and I don't buy into it whatsoever, but it could be like the one saving grace to this, is maybe this is all a deal to try to get Ronda in WWE.
That was actually the first thing that came in my head when I heard Lesnar was back.
And if that works, then that's going to be good because, I mean, even though she doesn't have anywhere near as much steam as she used to be, Ronda in the women's division is, of course, going to be big news. Everybody's going to be covering it on ESPN and all that other kind of stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at this as like there could be some wins, but the risk factor is so much higher for WWE. And what do they gain? A little bit of promotion from UFC? UFC people know WWE exists. And I kind of feel like they almost are going to talk down about them too. They can promote them and not make them
You
seem
know what
good.
though? They've probably cut a deal where they can't slander the WWE in it.
I would hope
It's
so.
probably in the underwriting, and I understand why WWE wants to do it because um, John Jones versus Daniel Cormier blew numbers out of the water. They were expecting about 500,000 pay-per-view buys. They ended up doing over 800K. You add for the fact that this is UFC 200, you add the fact that there's 3 title fights, and you add the fact that Brock Lesnar is going to be on the card. I'm saying this is 1.5 million and upwards as far as pay-per-view buys. That's a lot of people watching SummerSlam advertised on there.
I would really hope WWE is smart enough with this deal that they have like full on SummerSlam advertisements and that they have a good plan for SummerSlam too. Because if they do what they've been doing the past couple of years with SummerSlam, where it's just rematches from Battleground, and it's like, well, we're gonna announce the card the go home show of Monday Night Raw. They can't do that. They got to make this SummerSlam big. You got NXT, you've got a couple other things like around that time. They can cash in on this pretty well, but what if like even when they're doing like the interviews, if Mark Hunt is just talking about he's been in WWE all this time and that's gonna make him soft, then that
Well,
makes
here's the
WWE look kind
thing.
of crappy.
Mark Hunt doesn't talk. He literally
Oh,
gives
really?
one-word answers, and that's actually his shtick. People like find it funny. And like after a post interview, someone will like interview him for like, and that there they'll say, "Oh, so Mark, this is what happened in this fight. You did this, this, and this. Did you say anything surprise you? How did you feel when you did this?" And he's just like, yeah, want some KFC." So, yeah, like it's not even the biggest match you could promote.
Hmm. Now the best case scenario would have been somebody put up a thing on Mega Maniacs, but I thought it was great if it would have been Punk versus Lesnar. That would have been so good.
Yeah, except they wouldn't have got it licensed by the regulatory body.
That doesn't matter. The whole point of watching it's good to see Punk get his ass whooped.
Yeah, but you'll get to see that at UFC 202 probably.
But not by Brock. Although
Yeah,
Brock's gone
but
downhill. I mean, we were just talking about this before. Our superstar scores, we're going to have to deduct him some points here.
yes, like fucking definitely. The more that's come out about the whole Brock Lesnar situation with that journalist is that Brock was really upset and he complained to Lorenzo Fertitta, who is one of the Fertitta brothers that own the UFC. Dana's just the president. And from Ariel's point of view, Dana was basically the messenger that had to tell Ariel to get the hell out because Brock wanted Ariel dead.
Hmm.
Like,
So ridiculous.
this is the thing I don't get about that situation. It's okay to be mad that the leak went out, because obviously you want your shit to be a surprise.
Right.
What I don't get is, why are you mad at Ariel Helwani? Why aren't you mad at A, somebody within your inner circle that's let it slip, or B, mad at the WWE, who I'm probably sure is the one that let it slip? Because we see shit slip from the WWE all the time.
Hmm. I don't know, and I just think that it's kind of shitty. This dude's doing his job. And if you were in that, kind of field, any reporter is going to jump on any scoop. Because you want to be the one that breaks the scoop, because then people are going to go to your site or your newspaper or your magazine or whatever it is. That's the point
And the
of
best
it.
thing is, they said you should have called us for comment. Okay, you just went on ESPN the same day and said Brock Lesnar isn't returning. Then he gets multiple sources tell him he is. Yeah, he's going to report it. You don't just sit on news.
Right, and if you call them and you go, do you have any comment? They would go, no comment. And then you have no story.
If shit, probably not even that. They probably just lie and say no.
Right. And then it'd be like, we got you guys. It's actually fine.
So yeah, UFC and Brock Lesnar have lost quite a bit of respect in my eyes today. Very sad to see this situation go out, especially to Ariel Helwani, who is one of the most beloved media members, and literally we're traveling from different countries where no other journalists would travel to cover the sport. So, oh, and when Brock Lesnar had his book, Death Clutch, you know who he had do the personal interview to promote the book? Ariel Helwani. Yet
Hmm.
goes on ESPN and says he doesn't even know who he is. Fuck you, Brock.
All right, everybody. Those are the hot tags of the week. Make sure that you leave your comments below. Tell us what you think of all these different things, whether it's to shit on some of the people we talked about, like Aldo and Manu and the Hardys, or to express some RIP for Muhammad Ali, or the Brock Lesnar thing, or maybe you know something about Elias Samson that's interesting. Leave those comments below. We're going to take a break with the rest hold and come back and start talking about NXT TakeOver predictions.